Hi, students. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about Pathos. I know the resources that I've shared through Blackboard do cover a lot of territory with this, but sometimes it's nice to hear from your professor just to know, okay, this is exactly what they're talking about. So in this slideshow, I wanted to give a few examples of appeals through Pathos and talk to you about how this might work in your rhetorical analysis assignment. So pathos is the appeal to emotion, and this works alongside ethos and logos, usually in an argument. Usually all three are present, although you might find that one is relied upon more heavily than the others. A strong argument should contain a strong component of logos more than anything else. But pathos is something that will come across, especially in popular arguments in our culture and in advertising. So you're probably already very familiar with pathos. Pathos attempts to evoke a specific emotion. This is whenever the creator, the arguer, the speech maker, whoever it is that is targeting an audience or trying to persuade them of something, is evoking emotion. So anytime you sense that, not necessarily that the arguer themselves are becoming emotional, but that they're trying to evoke emotion in the audience, they're trying to appeal to their emotions. And effective appeals would be persuasive to the audience and they wouldn't make the audience feel manipulated or overly rely on emotions, especially at the cost of logos or something along those lines. So any emotion can be appealed to in an argument. So you can have fear, desire, lust, guilt, excitement, humor, anger, any of those things. So some common ones if you watch advertisements, even humor, or being amused, those are emotions. And so if we see the, Old Spice guy in commercials and we laugh, or the Dos Equis guy, they're trying to use humor to get us to associate their product with good things, to be happy when we see their product and think good things of their products. So that's one way that emotion can be appealed to. Sometimes it's through the reasoning itself that emotion can be appealed to. So we'll see things like commercials that rely upon uh, like our feelings of nostalgia for something. So it might show like I think it's the Bluebell ice cream where it shows pictures of, a grandfather sharing an ice cream with a grandchild, or people maybe on a first date having an ice cream, something really nostalgic and classic like that that you'll see going on. Um, One of the benefits of emotion is that it can really hook the audience and make them care about the topic in a way that sometimes just having a logos driven argument does not. And it can engage the audience, it can rally them to do something that they may not be really motivated to do if they didn't have that emotional appeal. Especially if your audience isn't typically engaged in a topic, they don't feel like it pertains to them, that emotional appeal can really make them feel like they're part of that community and that they should care about it. The drawbacks can be is that if emotion is overly relied upon, it doesn't seem like the arguer or creator necessarily knows what they're talking about, that they don't have any research or evidence to support their point of view, and that they're just being emotional. Or it can seem like they're manipulating you. So sometimes what comes to mind is that old SPCA, I think, or Humane Society commercial with Sarah McLachlan. I don't know if you remember it. I think they had a skit about it on Saturday Night Live a long time ago as well, where I think In the Arms of the Angels is playing in the background, and there are images of puppies and kittens that are injured and sad looking and behind fences and kennels, and they're trying to get you to donate money to the Humane Society and to adopt a pet. And it's just to me, over the top emotional, where I feel like, oh my goodness, they're really, really trying to make me feel guilt and sadness and concern for these animals, but they're doing it in such a way that I don't necessarily feel motivated to act. I just feel manipulated. But again, that's how persuasive these appeals are depends upon the audience member. There could be someone who sees them and really feels affected by that and really feels moved, while someone else may not. It may just not touch them that way. So I'm thinking of particular, Super Bowl commercials sometimes where there are these heartwarming moments between a father and son and a Ford F-150, and they're fishing and they're doing all this outdoorsy manly things, and they're bonding, and then they're fixing the truck together. And I that doesn't really do anything for me, but I'm sure that there are some people who experience those things with their dads and maybe grew up having a very outdoorsy kind of life, and so that touches upon their feelings of nostalgia, their feelings of fatherly love, and that is more persuasive to them. So, oftentimes in arguments, there are some things that especially advertisers use as a go-to or a shortcut to target our emotions. Kids are one of them, animals often. These are things that make a lot of people go, "Aw," and then they sit up and pay attention, and they're at least emotionally engaged on a superficial level, and so they might stop and look at your ad. So here we have this ad that shows a baby and a tire, and it's Michelin, which is a company that makes tires, and it says Michelin because so much is riding on your tires. Now, the claim here is not explicitly stated. So one of the things in this assignment that I ask you to do is to look at the explicit and implicit arguments in your speech, your text, your advertisement, whatever it is you're looking at for the rhetorical analysis essay. And so if we said, what is the claim? Well, I think the claim is that you should buy Michelin tires. And the support, the reason is because so much is riding on your tires. And the so much there, really, the implied so much is your family, your children, that kind of thing. So we can say here we see some overlap, right, between logos and pathos, because is it logical to say you should buy a good tire because a lot of important things are in your car dependent upon your tires? Yeah, that's pretty logical to say that's a good reason, a relevant reason to buy a particular kind of tire. Now, whether or not Michelin really is that tire, they're saying they are, is left to be decided. But this is their claim, this is their support. They're also furthering their support by, appealing to your emotions. And here I would say the emotion that they're trying to appeal to is concern over your family's safety, worry over their safety, a desire for, your tire not to blow out or crash or anything like that. And so I would not say that's manipulative. That seems effective. And how effective that is, again, depends on your perspective. So here's another ad that uses a very cute child in it. And we have here not a lot of text, which is kind of typical these days for most advertisings, at least print advertisings, billboards, that kind of thing. And it says, they are more like you than you think. Shows a child with a beer and a cupcake, and it says for children who have their first drink at 12 years of age, the prevalence of lifetime alcohol dependence is 41%. Pediatrics.appublicactions.org, and then 12 keys, something I can't read beneath that. I have my contacts in, but I can't read it. And so here we're trying to think, okay, well, what is the claim that they're making? And you could say the claim is they are more like you than you think. And I could understand how you could make that claim, and the support might be that here's an example of how they're more like you than they think. That you've got this little girl who presumably is following after her parents' footsteps, right? The parents would be the you in that statement, and the they would be the kids. You could also say the claim is, be careful how much alcohol you drink because, and then the support is because they are going to follow in your footsteps. They are more like you than you think, is their reason that you should be careful how much alcohol you ingest. And then they give you some evidence to support what might happen, not that they are more like you than you think. The evidence doesn't really support that statement, but it supports the idea that that kids who drink are going to have issues with alcohol. So, for children who have their first drink at 12 years of age, the prevalence of lifetime alcohol dependence is 41%, and presumably that looks like a pretty credible source. We could go look it up and see to make sure if we wanted to, but they give us that information, which is good, or at least it appears ethical, ethos, appealing to ethos, and trustworthy. Um, but there's a lot that's implied in this ad, right? I'm not sure about the cupcake, if they're also implying, something about obesity and sugar there, or if that's just like, hey, the cupcake is being contrasted with the beer. Like the cupcake is a normal thing for a little kid to have, and the beer is like, whoa, that kid's got a giant beer stein in her hand. And it's meant to shock us as far as especially the contrast to the cupcake. But I think again the emotions that this is trying to appeal to are it's trying to appeal to our shock, like that's wrong and weird for a apparently 4 or 5 year old to have a beer. Our sense of concern over our children's well-being and what could happen to them, and again, hopefully it persuades the audience. It looks like they are targeting people. We don't know where this ad appeared, but it looks like they are targeting people who drink alcohol on a regular basis and have young children. And the implied argument is, be careful what you drink, be careful because they're going to repeat your behaviors. So here we get a puppy, like I said, babies and puppies, kittens too, although maybe I'm biased because I'm more of a dog person, but I feel like more ads rely on cute dog things than cute cat things. And here we have become a hero, help homeless dogs every time you redeem a hero coupon. Here's how. Save $15 with the hero coupons found inside specially marked bags of pedigree food for dogs. And then this is Oliver, adopted November 3rd. So the claim here seems to be, again, we could say the claim is become a hero, but I really think that is more of the support that they're using, and the claim is implied. The claim seems to always be buy our product, right? Buy X, whatever X product is. And if it's somebody who wants your vote, it's vote for me. And then everything else becomes support for why you should buy that product, or why you should vote for that person, or why you should join such and such cause, or lend your voice to some movement. So the support here would be become a hero. And you become a hero by buying their dog food, and then you can use these hero coupons that will, a part of which will go to donate to PetSmart charities. And presumably, again, it's implied that these PetSmart charities help save homeless dogs, right? That they help Oliver get adopted. They helped Oliver get adopted on November 3rd, and we all want Oliver to be adopted. We all want all the Olivers of the world to be adopted. So if we can just buy pedigree instead of Iams or puppy chow, then we're being a hero. I mean, they're all about the same price point. And so this one seems to be just a better, more ethical brand than the others. And so let's do it. Let's buy pedigree. So what emotions are they trying to target? Well, it seems like they're trying to target our sense of concern for animals, our love of cuteness, if you think that dog is cute, our desire to be heroes, to be feeling like we are part of something, like we're giving back, we're doing something ethical and heroic. So kind of our ego there. So they're appealing to a lot of things. And when you're analyzing your text, please try to be specific. Please try, don't just tell me the author is appealing to emotion or Emma Watson is, appealing to her audience's emotions. I want to know what emotion specifically you think that she is appealing to. What is she trying to make her audience feel? What's she trying to evoke in them? And then how does she do it? Like, what word choices does she use, or what phrases, or what body language, or what tone, or what eye contact, or anything that you think is used to try to make the audience feel something? And then follow that up with, is it persuasive, right? So I would say those students who are kind of on the competent level of analysis for the rhetorical analysis, they might say, Emma Watson successfully evokes the audience's emotions when she says blah, 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 blah. But the really stronger students who have those upper level critical thinking skills, or at least demonstrate them, not that you don't have them if you don't write this out, but that demonstrate them in writing, is that they will tell me specifically blah 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 what Emma Watson says. They will tell me the specific emotion or emotions they think she evokes, and they will tell me why or how those emotions are evoked and if that is effective with the audience. And again, that's subjective. You may find Emma Watson very moving, and I may find her very boring. That's okay. There's no right answer for this. And you don't have to comment on every instance of emotion that the author or arguer appeals to. You just want to talk about what you see as being the more prominent aspects, whether or not the author succeeds or fails in that. This is a cover of the New Yorker right after the Charlie Hebdo terrorist attacks. This happened, you can see by the date, in 2015. I don't know if you remember, this was when there was a satirical comic strip, Charlie Hebdo, in France, and they published a satirical comic strip featuring Muhammad in there, and followers of Muhammad believe that he should never be, pictured or drawn or certainly not satirized. So there were some extremists who were very angry about this. They attacked these offices and killed several people. And afterwards, there was just a lot of sadness about this incident. There was also a lot of anger, feelings of that free speech was being attacked because, no matter what you believe, most people believe that you have the right to talk about it, unless it's considered, hate speech. And so this particular cover I thought was very impactful because it's very emotional without having really any text. It has the text, The New Yorker, which is the name of the magazine. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's been around a long time and it features all kinds of things from political commentary to news articles to what's going on around New York to fiction, poetry, comics also. And so you've got this picture of the Eiffel Tower that morphs into this pencil with this red tip. So it's amazing, not just the Eiffel Tower symbolizing France where this happened, but this symbol of free speech, France standing for free speech in the form of this pencil, and that the pencil tip is not just black, but it's red like blood, and that the streets along there are have this kind of blood splashed background. So I just think, what they're trying to appeal to there is the sense of sadness over what happened, grief, loss, but also anger and a sense of perseverance, because I think that the Eiffel Tower here looks hopeful to me. It's rising out in this clean white background, and it's got this point at the top, very sharp point. And so saying free speech is not going away, free speech is not dying. People have the right to write their commentary. And so inspiring a feeling of justice and hopefulness and sadness all at once in us. And so multiple emotions can be evoked by images as you're analyzing them. There was something else I was going to say about this image, and now I can't remember. Okay, I'm going to move on. So this image is something you might have seen before, especially I know millennials are usually pretty familiar with the truth ads because a lot of those feature the repercussions of drugs or smoking and what can happen if you do them. So here the text is just tips from former smokers. And you've got all these images of things that presumably have happened because people smoked, whether it's a loss of teeth, or it looks like perhaps their tracheas were removed, or their jaws were deformed, or their baby was born premature. They don't really tell us what's happened, but we get this idea that it's bad, right? And they say tips from former smokers. So they're not really, the advice they're giving you is implied here. It's stop smoking or you will end up losing your teeth. You will end up losing your trachea. You will end up with a premature baby or something along those lines. Um, and then we have the logo of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, so giving it a little bit of ethos there as well, in that that organization is well known and trusted. It's not, um, just somebody making up facts. On a little bit of a lighter note, there's this ad for Coca-Cola, which I really like, and your book has kind of featured some Coca-Cola ads, or one Coca-Cola ad, I think, as well. I like it because it's so happy. It's so happy. I get happy just looking at it, and I don't know why. I'm not even a soda drinker, really, but it makes me want to drink a soda. So, and I think, again, the subtext here, the implied argument is buy a Coke, drink Coca-Cola. But why should you? Well, because Coca-Cola will make you happy, right? Happiness, period. Coca-Cola, period. Hashtag open happiness. I mean, you're going to be happy if you drink this Coke. Look at these people. They are so happy. And they don't have brown stained teeth from drinking a bunch of soda or missing teeth from all that sugary stuff, or they don't look like they're going into some kind of diabetic shock because of all the sugar they're ingesting. Although there are numerous studies that tell us, soda's not good for you. They look very healthy. She's got long, lustrous hair. Man, she looks like she just had like some kind of keratin, um, I don't know, product on her hair. It looks very, very healthy. I like it. And so does his. They've got very white teeth and they look very happy. I mean, they look like they're in love. So maybe if I buy a Coke, then I will fall in love and be happy. I am in love. I'm very, very much in love. I'm married and all that. But I mean, they look seriously happy. And even the graphics that are going on here, you've got that bright red contrasted with the white, goes with their clothing, her nail polish, and you've got the little bubbles at the top, that effervescence that symbolizes the carbonation in Coca-Cola, but also that bubbly feeling that happiness brings. So even if you're just glancing through an ad, you think, oh, I'm impervious to advertising, it doesn't affect me. You see 100 ads like this in a year for Coca-Cola, it's going to at least leave an imprint on you. Not necessarily it's going to make you buy Coca-Cola because, they're not there yet with their implants and their chips, but it will make you feel something about Coca-Cola, and the more you see that association, the more you will associate Coca-Cola with happiness. Unless you're disgusted by this ad, and then it might have the reverse effect on you. I remember one time my brother owns a business and we had to do something and he was showing me these mailers that he was going to send out. They're like the spam you get in your actual mailbox. And I said, "Why are you doing this? People just throw this out. These things don't work." And I was like, "And they're so annoying. There's a garbage can right, like at that time I lived in an apartment complex, and so I went to like a country club, where you had a group of mailboxes and they had a garbage can right there, so you could just, you didn't even have to carry it with you. You could just throw those circulars and spam mail and all that right in the trash as soon as you emptied your mailbox and got the mail you really wanted or needed." And he said, "Yeah, but even if somebody just glances down and they see our logo before they throw it away to make the decision to throw it away," he's like, "it's worth the 0.02 cents it takes to print it for that brand recognition to happen, so that they know our name, so that our company becomes a household name." And I thought my mind was blown at that point. So I really like this one too. And, even though again, I'm not going to go into my own personal feelings about Nike, but I think this commercials or this ad is really good. It says, my butt is big and round like the letter C, and 10,000 lunges has made it rounder but not smaller, and that's just fine. It's a space heater for my side of the bed. It's my ambassador to those who walk behind me. It's a border collie that herds skinny women away from the best deals at clothing sales. My butt is big, and that's just fine, and those who might scorn it are invited to kiss it. Just do it. And so I think this is appealing to this sense of pride in your body that a lot of women don't have. I shouldn't say that, that's very general. That some women don't have. And so, especially when our culture preaches this whole, size two, no hips, uh, kind of very skinny body as the ideal body. And I think that's changing. We're seeing a lot more diversity. Certainly, Kim Kardashian is well known for her curves and everything like that. So this isn't as rare as it used to be to see someone like this, but I still think that this ad is appealing to that specific demographic or even any woman who thinks, yeah, she should be proud of curves. And the goal of athleticism is not necessarily to get smaller and smaller, but just to get fitter. Um, so we've got that, and you've got the white and black just very clearly outlining her curves, and just the Nike logos standing out from there. And also, kind of the poetic nature of it, I think, appeals to younger people and women a little bit more. So, I'm going to quickly go through these last few because this video is going on a little longer than I had intended. So this says, she has the power to change her world. You have the power to help her do it. Find out how CARE is working with women to fight poverty and what you can do to help. More ways you can get involved. I am powerful. So here you've got the claim is work to get involved with CARE, whatever that organization is or that movement is. And why? Because you want to help. You want to help women fight poverty. And you want them to feel powerful, especially young girls. And so the emotional appeal here is for social justice, your feelings about social justice, your feelings about morality, about making the world right. You're supposed to feel concerned for this young woman, feel worried about her living in poverty, and want to lift her up out of poverty. Spare parts for humans are not as original as those for cars. Don't drink and drive. So here we have BMW, and I think, again, we can say the claim is don't drink and drive. That is the purpose of the ad, and their reasoning is that, you could lose a limb if you drink and drive. You could hurt someone else or you could hurt yourself, and you don't want that. But I think there's also a subtext here where BMW is trying to be seen as a car maker that cares, and a car maker that's associated with social problems and trying to solve social problems. So if we saw this, and we might say an emotional appeal might be surprise, or as we see the juxtaposition of the real foot and the amputated foot there, or concern and a feeling of, oh yeah, I don't want to make that happen. I don't want to drink and drive. And I'm just gonna say, sex is something that sells. We can see that clearly almost everywhere. And so when you're looking at an argument, if you see somewhere that the author is trying to elicit feelings of desire or romance, or if you do this, then you will be seen as more attractive to the opposite sex, then that is one way to appeal to emotion that's pretty popular. And I don't know if I can click this here. So this is a video from Donald Trump's campaign, and it was Make America Safe Again. So I think it's pretty short. I'm going to play it, and then I'll talk a little bit about how it uses pathos to appeal to its audience.
Trump's America is secure. Terrorist and dangerous criminals kept out. The border secure. Our families safe. Change that makes America safe again. Donald Trump for president.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
So here we have an ad that is about trying to appeal to its audience and say, if you vote for Trump, right? So that's the claim, is vote for Trump. And if you do, then America will be safe. It will be secure. Terrorists will be kept out. There will not be, dangerous immigrants at large. So they're trying to appeal to people's sense of their fear that they don't live in a safe country right now, or at the time of this ad, uh, that they worry about who's in the country, they worry about what's going to happen, that terrorists are going to strike again, but they can feel safe and secure if Donald Trump is elected president, which he was. So hopefully this gives you some sense of what you're looking for when you analyze your text, and please reach out if you have any questions.